Hey everyone, my name is Britt. I work in Young Adult Services for the Pikes Peak Library District. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and today we're going to go through part 2 of our Python Basics Build a Quiz class. Okay, welcome to part 2. If you're like, but what about part 1? You do need to do that first. I'm going to go ahead and link to it below. So if you haven't done that yet, go do it, and I'll see you back here in a little bit. Otherwise, we're going to do 3 things today. So we are going to make it so that the answers that people put in don't have to be case sensitive. So basically, if they're writing the word dart, they could say like capital D, lowercase a, capital R, lowercase t, and then Python's going to read it all in lowercase, so it doesn't really matter. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a scoring component. And then the third thing that we're going to do is at the end, create a message for the person based on their score. So whether or not it's too high or too low. So let's get started with that. Okay, so now let's go in and make some changes to the quiz. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make it so that it reads the answer as lowercase. And so I don't know if you remember from last class, but we were talking about how everything in these quotation marks is something called a string. And so Python has something called string methods, which are just kind of like automatic things that you can do with string. And one of those things is to make everything lowercase. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add that. So the string method for lowercase is just, so you're going to put in a period and then you're going to write lower and put in the 2 parentheses. That's literally it. And then you do want to make sure that your answer is completely in lowercase so that once it's got the string in lowercase, it's going to match your string so that these 2 strings would be the same regardless of, like I said, if someone typed in capital D, capital A, RT, lowercase rt, it would still read it as lowercase d, a, rt. And so those 2 things would equal and it would match. So go ahead and do that for all of them. So again, for answer 2, I'm just going to go in and add the string method for lowercase, and then just make sure the answer is totally in lowercase. So like I said, do that for all of them, and then I'll see you back here to add in the score. Okay, so now all of your answers should be in lowercase. And if you haven't tested it yet by running the module, I strongly suggest you do that before going through. So when you're doing that, go in and put in some, nonsense answers where you're just using random capitalization to test it. And I would do that for each one and make sure that if you're putting in the right text, you're still getting the right answer. So now that you've done that, we are going to add the scoring feature. So let's add the scoring feature. So what you're going to do is you're going to just create a variable called score, and we're going to start off by setting it as equal to 0. So now we're going to actually use, Python has some built-in arithmetic operators, and that's what we're going to be using here today. So what we're going to do is we're going to do any of these where there's if they answered correctly, we're going to add 1 point to the score. So we're going to say if the answer is dart, print that is the correct answer, and we're going to add 1 to the score. So now the way Python does operators is a little weird. It's usually like the operator that you would use in math, like the addition sign or the subtraction sign or whatever, and then also an equal sign. So to add, we're going to say plus equals 1. And then to test, we're going to say print score. Again, you always want to test. The easiest way to test is just to print so you can see actually what's happening, okay? Use that built-in print function. It's going to be like your favorite thing. So that's literally all you're going to do for all of them. So go through and just add this little piece of code to the if the answer is correct one. The score plus equals 1. It's literally the same because you're just going to give them 1 point for each extra one. Now, if you want to play with it and be like, this is a hard question, so I'm going to give them 2 points, you can. It doesn't matter. It's your quiz. You do whatever you want. You could use really weird numbers if you wanted to. I wouldn't use decimals, but that's a whole nother conversation that I'm not going to get into. So try to keep it to full integers. But yeah, so go ahead and now do this, add the +1 score. You could, if you wanted to, if they got it wrong, you could subtract points. I'm not doing that. I'm only giving points. But if you did want to subtract a point if they got it wrong, you do the same thing. You'd say score minus equals 1. And that would subtract a point. And then again, I would test your work by saying print score. So go ahead and do this for each of your questions, and then I'll meet you back here and tell you how to give a customized message to someone based on their score. Welcome back. Okay, so hopefully you have tested your scoring feature and everything is working okay. I know mine is. I just tested it. It's looking good. So I put in a variety of right answers and wrong answers and made sure that the total matched up. And then I was double checking some of my lowercase stuff as well as I was going through and doing that. So now that I know the scoring works, I'm going to give folks a personalized message at the end based on their score. So if you think you know how to do it, I'd say pause the video and try it yourself. Otherwise, follow along with me. If you guessed, I bet we're going to use if-else statements. You were correct. So what we're going to come in over here, instead of printing the score, which we were just basically doing to test ourselves. So actually that is true pretty much across the case here. Although you could say print, if you wanted to show people what their score is, you could say answer 1 is the correct answer. And then you could add some text like and then remember, because it's a variable, you have to do it like that. Oh yeah, actually you'd say score. You want to write afterward. So your score is, and then this is where you would put in that. And then I would want for there to be a period. So I would add that in. Got to have punctuation. So you could do that if you wanted to show them, and you could add that text after each one if you wanted to show them their score after each one. But I'm not going to do that because I feel like people should be able to count to 5. You never know though. All right, so again, we're gonna come down now. We're gonna go ahead and when you get a chance, just erase all of those print scores from out of there. But we're gonna come down here and we're gonna say, okay, now if score is greater than or equal to, let's say we wanna make it 4 out of 5 would be a good one. Then you're gonna print, congratulations. You escaped the Demogorgon, whatever. And lived on to fight the Mind Flayer. I don't know. So, you're going to type in some text related to your trivia quiz there. Then you can say else. So if the score, basically if the score is 4 or 5, they're going to get that congratulations message. If it's anything lower than 4, they're going to get the message, oh no, you didn't do well enough. And we're carried to the upside down by the Demogorgon. Better luck next time. Something along those lines, And then again, you're going to test it. And then I am going to get rid of this message. And we're just going to have it exit the game. So that's it. That's all you have to do. Make sure, again, to test your work. You always want to test whenever you're writing code. That way you can fix it immediately instead of having to go back through lots and lots and lots. I mean, look how much this has grown. This is pretty basic and this is already a decent amount of code, right? So yeah, you can imagine if you're writing something really complex, how hairy it can quickly get. So it is really important to kind of organize things and to test as you go along. So test it, run it, make your friends take it. And we'll see you back here for other teen tech programming.